Greetings to all of you fantabulous folks, and welcome to This Week I'm Learning, the podcast where we taste only the finest of news stories, interesting learnings, and fun facts, and then bring them back for all of you to enjoy as well. This is episode 90, recorded June 6th, 2022. Sorry for our absence last week. We had some scheduling conflicts and some sickness going around. This, as an editorial note, this will be our final episode of this season. We will be taking the next 3 weeks off and then returning after that. But
a good
anyway,
round 30 of an even number for randomness. Still don't know why that's why we chose. I think it's because during our first season, like it was like the end of the year and it just happened to be 30 and we're like, all right, there's a season. And now we've just kept it going.
Yep. Now it's at this point, this far into it, this is just tradition.
This is who we are.
Expect this. If it's a multiple of 30, then it's our last for that season, and we're going to take some time off.
Better season next season.
Podcasting is hard. Actually,
it's hard.
It's really not, but time. Anyway, I'm your host, Brandon Vader, also known as Captain Dracanus. Here with me today, down below, is Tim Rhind, also known as Fake Frang, and then to my left, I think, right? I don't know. To this direction is the fantabulous Seeker 4761, also known as Colton Roper.
Hello.
How are you guys today?
Hello. How is everybody? I'm also good, since you asked that first.
Good.
How are you?
Doing great.
Fantastic.
We know you're doing good. Yeah.
Stay tuned for the outro, and we'll find out why.
How about you, Tim?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Yeah, things are good here. Things are quiet. Sometimes too quiet, but they're okay.
All your construction got done, and you won't fall through the deck anymore?
No more scars. Yeah, it's done nice and solid, and lots of extra. I probably should take some pictures sometime. The fencing, blinders, whatever you want to call it, things to make the fence look better, as well as give us more privacy in the pool area. That's all up and looks really good, and our gate looks really good. And so we're happy with it. The bank account isn't very happy, but we're happy with the work that got done.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, cool. This episode, Colton is going to tell us that things are only impossible until they're not.
Nothing? You feel nothing for that?
I feel like I should know that, but
you will.
I don't know where I know that from.
You will.
I'm a little upset at myself.
You will. I promise. But what you won't be upset about is Tim's going to do another tidbits. Tim's tidbits.
Or as we're gonna start calling them TimBits.
TimBits.
Yeah,
canon.
It's already copyrighted, I think.
TMCR. TimBits.
Yeah. And Brandon is going to be excuse my. I'll get some soap later for my mouth. Choke me, Mommyboard.
Choke me, Mommyboard. Choke me.
So I will preface mine with, it's not quite as bad as it sounds, but it could be. But it's the first thing that popped into my head when I saw this article. So you have to suffer too, because the squirrel brain decided so.
18 plus, baby. Not for kids. Finally being an adult podcast, like we've always meant to be. So it was always going to devolve into that, or evolve, is the way I like to put it.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, you'll like talking about squirrel brain. You'll like my first topic then.
I look forward to your TimBits.
The BDSM tidbits, but I assume I'm going to go first if the order seems like it is.
So tell us why I should be sad about that quote. Where is that from?
Well, I hear there's a famous captain of the sci-fi variety.
Yeah.
Possibly French-sounding name.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek, The Next Generation.
And also Star Trek Picard now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
For what it's worth.
Wait for the new episodes.
It's all right.
It's
So yeah,
At least it's still Star Trek.
that is
Mostly.
It's not as famous as some of his other sayings, but it is a quote by the great Jean-Luc Picard. And another thing he says is engage in a very cool way. Engage in which is obviously when they engage warp with their spaceship. But so
Or
like
teleporters.
and that too. Oh, you're right. Any sort of like do this. It's his fancy way of saying it. Engage. So yeah, journeying around the universe at speeds greater than light. Pretty cool stuff, but still in the realm of science fiction, correct? But
So we thought.
maybe not for long, because scientists have accidentally found the elusive warp bubble needed for warp drives to actually be possible within reality. Accidentally, mind you. It's friggin' wild. So, kind of go through a little history of the warp bubbles and stuff. But commentary?
I fucking love that, like, most of the coolest shit that we find out as a society is because someone just was trying to do something and then was like,
it's like a side
wait,
Wait a minute.
like penicillin.
Total
Hey,
accident.
there's this mold on this bread. I wonder what the hell this shit is.
Hey, if I eat this mold, I'm not as sick anymore. Huh, maybe we should develop that. Humans, that's how we do. That's how we roll. But so warp drives have actually been looked at as a serious propulsion system for years. In fact, it was proven mathematically valid by mathematician Miguel Alcubierre in 1994. But it was lauded in the scientific community, as well as the mathematical community, for its massive amounts of energy needed and theoretical materials that aren't even existent. It's purely was just a proof of concept on its base level that a warp drive can exist in our version of reality as we understand physics. So yeah, engineers basically laughed it off for the same reason. It's not going to happen. But a decade later, scientists at NASA, specifically a scientist who is a warp drive specialist, that was his official title, they actually took the concept that was created by Alcubierre and reworked them to need way less energy and way less not real materials, to the point where it's actually plausible in reality. Specifically, this concept was known as the Alcubierre White warp drive, which, if you think of all science fiction, if you like the first, like in Halo, I can't remember what the specific drive is called, but there's always like scientists with their name in it, and it's super cool. So yeah, that exists in our world as well. Just that cool scientific concept. This drive is still in the realm of science fiction, but recently the situation may have changed a little bit. So scientists funded by DARPA, which is the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and these are the type of projects that are like, super advanced. We're talking like quantum level stuff, obviously warp drives in some ways, energy production, like cool shit, highly advanced stuff. Specifically, these scientists were studying a force called the Casimir Force, which is a whole fucking other thing, and I'm probably going to do an episode on it. But it's basically energy created from vacuums, or another way to put it, energy from nothing is kind of the gist of what it is. There's more to it, but that's kind of the overall broad concept. Brandon?
So, 0-point modules in Stargate.
Exactly. So again, this DARPA is science fiction. It's sci-fi shit, and that they're working on it. It's cool fucking shit. So while they were working on this, they actually stumbled upon a warp bubble accidentally. So this isn't a Galaxy-class starship or anything like that. Like in terms of its size, we're talking like nanometers and micron-level stuff. But if I figure out where my script went, because even though we can make warp bubbles, we still can't make decent Windows product. Anyways, but as far as we... Just saying it. It's true. It's fucking true. You know it. It's just what we have. But
I need 3 screens.
Yeah. But as far as we know, this is the first real observation of a warp bubble in reality. There might be some other secret stuff, but this is the one that actually made, the scientific news. It didn't make national news like it fucking should have, in my opinion, but people are dumb. So now this particular team that was working on the Casimir Force is on the side. They're working on building a small like structure that's like 4 microns in size that can theoretically induce this bubble more consistently and maybe even gain some sort of propulsion or energy extraction from this particular form. It's just a big circle with a little nub in the middle of it. It's it's very similar to most like engine drives you've seen on spaceships. If you really think about it, I'll have to put a picture up here. But still cool. And again, these guys are so advanced.
Yeah.
This is what they're doing on the side of this Casimir Force shit. Like, cool fucking people, fucking nerds, and I love them. So, but
the engine I had discussed in the podcast too, and then you got this one here.
Exactly. No, this is cool shit.
Yeah, that one can go near warp, and this one can go warp.
Like the technology and the research that people are capable of, and where they're going. Like within 15 years, we could see all sorts of cool shit. I mean, look at all the shit we've talked about in the past. This is just need money and time to do it. We'll figure this shit out. But in terms of warp bubbles,
we don't kill ourselves first, we're okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's kind of the big thing of all of it. We could be in the stars if we don't kill ourselves first. Kind of that what is it? The great filter of civilizations. We're coming right up to that filter. We're about to see if it's true or not, I'm sure. But in terms of warp bubbles, that's all I have. Just a quick little thing.
Cool.
But warp bubbles, warp drives, let's fucking boldly go is all I say. Let's make it happen.
Yes, please.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
Cool shit.
Also, that
will
subspace
tie into
energy.
my topic a little bit. How that could be useful later.
Subspace energy, freaking all these different. I mean, Tim did a geothermal production. Was that you or someone else? Like
I did geothermal, but I also did another engine type that go close to the speed of light.
Yeah, it's just
use a lot less energy.
Like solar sails, concepts like that. Why would anyone ever be bored when not thinking about this kind of shit? In my opinion, it's cool shit. But what's also cool shit, Tim? I need some bits. Tell me about your TimBits. Give me details, all the sword details.
Okay, let me just pull up my notes. Oh, don't need it there. All right. Well, this your engine might come in very handy for this new discovery. Also from NASA, they have discovered another Earth, and it's called Kepler 1649c. I hope this is new news to you guys. I never checked the date on this, but it came new on my news feed. And, the important things about finding something that's Earth-like is, gravity, temperature, and the existence of water. But this new planet they have found is nearly the same size as the Earth, and its orbit around its star is in the same habitable zone.
Goldilocks
I hate that
zone.
word. Yeah. And look at what water could likely exist on its surface. Its size is actually 1.06 times larger, only 0.06, larger than Earth. So the gravity is probably almost the same. And it receives 75% of the amount of light we receive. However, we need your warp engine for this, because this planet is 300 light years away. So that's why we need your engine. Let's get it going, because then we have another planet we can ruin.
Way the hell out there, yeah.
There are other exoplanets estimated to be closer to Earth in size and closer to Earth in temperature, but there aren't any other exoplanets known yet that are closer to Earth in both of these values, and that also lie in that Goldilocks zone. So that's a new discovery by NASA.
Yeah, that's some cool shit. Just in the last year, actually in the last month, I read a story about one theory with some planets is that if they're tidally locked to a star, meaning they don't ever rotate, the same face is always is pointing, they can't support life. And they actually found one in this kind of Goldilocks zone, a little bit closer, that actually theoretically could have liquid water in the zone between the hot side and the dark side. So now they're rethinking that. Like just this morning, I read an article about they found a planet that's like bigger than stars, but it doesn't actually generate generate energy like a star would. So now they're like, wait, did we get star production wrong? Like how we think stars work? What the fuck? All this cool shit. Combine that with the James Webb Telescope, which is working and going to be fucking amazing as we see more pictures coming in. Again, 10 to 15 years, where our puny little 2022 minds are going to be blown if, again, we don't have to fight in the water wars.
Yeah, I remember when I was growing up, or even as I think as an adult, when they were saying they didn't even know if there were other planets. Period. Around solar system, they had no proof of planets, and now we have so much knowledge.
There's like 4,000 confirmed planets, like 300 or more, like are considered Earth-like in some form. And obviously, the one you just talking about is even closer. Like the universe is fucking big, and these are just in like relatively close Milky Way level stuff. Like we're not even talking Andromeda Galaxy, galaxies even farther away. Like when you start thinking about concepts like that, like it's inevitable. Like we're gonna find something.
Yeah. Oh, another thing I read was the Andromeda Galaxy and the Milky Way are getting closer together, and they're going to collide someday. But by then, our sun will be dead. So, but that's just another thing you just reminded me of.
That's for future TWIL listeners to worry about.
So,
and I got another. Go ahead.
Let me interject one more thing on the NASA front. I was actually reading an article. It was last week or the week before. They have now recorded sounds on Mars, so you can actually hear what the Martian soundscape sounds like.
Yes, I've heard some of those.
It's nuts. They're only a couple minutes long. What I would really like is like an hour-long recording, just to be like, ooh.
You like whale songs, songs of Mars.
Yeah. Some musician's going to use them someday. Put them into some music, some new age music.
I listen to the shit of that.
Mm-hmm.
And something for us with squirrel brains. My next story is researchers from Ben Gurion University in Israel. This is a peer-reviewed academic journal. Have discovered the cause of ADD. And there is a gene called CDH2, which is responsible for brain synapse activity and formation of synapses. And this gene in people with ADD apparently is alterated. And this gene affects the pathways and dopamine levels in the ventral midbrain and the prefrontal cortex. They have reproduced this in mice, and in doing so, this may aid in discovering new medications for the disorder. But I'm sure this is going to take quite a while. But that's interesting that they actually discovered a cause.
See, I can make a terrible joke and say, as long as the scientists don't have ADD, but I'm not going to make that joke, because that's a mean joke.
We'll do some other restudy.
This brings up an interesting kind of thought process. Did you guys ever watch the movie Gattaca?
Mm-hmm.
You're on a blank.
I'm trying to remember the plot now.
Yeah,
I can picture the actors, but I can't quite remember the whole plot.
So the basics of it is that people are no longer babies are no longer conceived naturally, and it's all genetic selection and genetic diversity, genetic manipulation, kind of eugenics, basically, and that there's like a separate class of people, and basically if you are one of these people who was made from eugenics, you have a higher caste in society. And if you are a natural born, you are kind of the scum of the earth and not really worthwhile. But why I bring that up is we're getting to the point now where we're learning enough of the genetic sequence to be able to pinpoint certain disorders and certain things. And where it gets really interesting is ADD enough of a deficit, genetically speaking, to warrant genetic alteration in the future to make sure that there's no other individuals with ADD?
I think ADD also has its pluses, and some of the most genius minds as well have had ADD.
Yep.
So it'd be really tough thing to decide on that. But on the other hand, too, we also know that they say studies show that a lot of people in prison also have ADD because seeks stimulation.
Well, yeah,
of some
same
sorts.
with
control.
like children who are particularly troubled. They can't focus for whatever reason. But at the same time, as we learn more about it and understand the causes of it, we might be able to, I don't want to say manipulate it, but in the sense of, what am I trying to say? This might be an interesting discussion topic, maybe for whenever we get back. Well, maybe this could be it. Genetics.
Because I know for myself, I did poorly in school and never really knew why, and I got in trouble with my parents.
Well, it's almost an interesting
everything else, but when there's a subject that interested me, I researched and learned the hell of it on my own. And then I would really do really good at that area, and then that played into my my role in policing, and probably why I like policing, because I didn't sit at a desk all the time where I had something different to do, and I ended up being an expert in certain areas. A semi-expert, I don't want to brag, but I ended up being a sort of an expert in certain areas and the go-to person in certain things. And I think that was because of my ADD.
Yeah.
So, it's pluses and minuses.
Part of it is how the society we've built for ourselves, how we look at the child, and I'm just going back to children because that's where that all kind of comes from. But it's like, oh, that's just a bad child. He's bored. He's staring at the clouds all fucking day.
Yeah,
what a useless
You're right.
human being. Like, he needs to focus on his studies, and we're like, and
how we teach to it.
And how we teach to it, how we inspire them to focus, because as you said, there's value in the sense of being able to have time to think, being able to have a squirrel brain and be like, ooh, there's an interesting thought. I never would have thought about that if I was hyper focused on my fucking math problems here. There's value in the randomness too, for sure.
I mean, I did really good I was a technologist in the military, and I did really good in all the physics they taught me, and they taught some pretty high level physics, thermal runaway, all kinds of stuff. But I don't know why, but it was somehow the way they taught as opposed to the way they taught you in high school. It just it took, whereas the other way it didn't. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So how we respond to it, you can't tailor one type of educating to everybody.
Part of the revolution, my theory, in the next 15 years is a revolution of society in what is considered valuable. And I really hope some teachers and because there are teachers, we all have teachers, I assume, that were like special to us because of how they made something interesting. How they were able to connect with you as a person and be like, oh, look, this is actually an interesting topic because for whatever reason they made it right. I'm kind of wondering, hopefully, as we learn more about. Go ahead.
I believe they even said Einstein had ADD.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get rid of a brain like his.
What was it? I don't know if it's attributed to Einstein. If you teach a fish to climb a tree, you'll think it's the worst fish in the world. Or whatever. It's all about as we learn more about the human mind and
framing.
And how development works and how we interact in society. It'll be interesting to see how these type of concepts, including with the advances in medical technology and stuff like that. It'll be very interesting to see where we go from a cultural, moral, all that other stance as well versus just the scientific side.
Yeah.
Well, and what I would really hope is that these researchers finding these different genes and genetic patterns, rather than looking in, society looking and going, hey, if we remove this, then there'll be no more ADD in the world. What I would really like, utopia rather than the darkest fucking timeline we're on. The utopia would be, when you're born, you have your genetics tested, you kind of know some of the stuff that you're predisposed to, and so that when you get to school age, if this, if you have this gene and it's in that altered state, they can maybe take and figure out the right way to teach you and interact, and it would be a better society because of diversity, and that's
build this
And
society.
you'd
for
have
the
that
people
much
versus
better.
the other way around.
You'd have a much better school experience. You wouldn't have people having low self-esteem. You wouldn't have people, being bullied maybe because they're different.
Yeah.
And I think all these things, like you say, the impulse control and then the depression and anxiety that arise from trying to cope with it in that environment. Those are the things that end up with people having problems.
Yeah, it would
doesn't
be a
have to be.
fundamental paradigm shift in thought.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Okay, I got one last little topic, and I didn't make any notes on this, so I'm going to probably paraphrase this article, and I'm going to include the link here. But this is really amazing and exciting. This is also it's a medical study published Monday in the New England Journal of Medicine. It's only 14 patients, but 14 patients and counting. But these 14 patients had no sign of cancer after receiving dostarlimab, made by the drug maker GlaxoSmithKline, every 3 weeks for 6 months. They enrolled in the trial. Patients enrolled in this trial would normally be required to undergo grueling chemotherapy and surgery. All 14 patients have had at least 6 months of follow-up without evidence of tumor on MRI, biopsy, endoscopy, or any other test used to detect cancer. And it goes on about the side effects of the other treatments. No adverse events were reported. So the release and no cases of progression or recurrence have been found in up to 2 years of follow-up.
Out of curiosity, what kinds of cancer were they testing this on? Or does it say?
I'd have to go further into I'd have to go right into probably the journal, and I don't have a link to the journal right now. But
we will put it
here. There is a link to the journal. Yeah, there is a link to the journal. So this article does. They're talking advanced rectal cancer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, advanced rectal cancer.
One of the more painful ones too.
Colon cancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite deadly, quite painful.
Yeah.
Can be a very life-changing event.
That's a small article, and I hope that can be expanded, and I hope it works. Because wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, from a quality of life standpoint too. Like that's the big key, because they can do a lot of stuff with cancer, but if you're miserable and sick the whole time, anyways, what the hell's the point? At least that's my opinion.
We got a friend back home who's had cancer in the lower jaw. He had part of his jaw removed. Now he's got cancer in the upper jaw, and you can just imagine what his face is going to look like when he's done. I mean, that's quality of life after that is not so good either. Yeah. So, anyway, that was some good news, and those are my topics. And let me get back to my notes.
That was TimBits. Dun, 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 dun.
TimBits. You gotta make a song for me.
Maybe I'll do that.
Where are my notes?
Editing this week.
Okay, scripts. So, Brandon, choke me, Mommyboard.
Yeah, say it slower.
Let's go for it.
Yeah. All right. So, my other tagline, and a little behind the scenes here. I knew that this one was going to be a little spicy, so before the show, I talked to Tim and was like, hey, here's an alternate kind of thing, and that is choked out by science. So there's a famous quote in Jurassic Park, and I think I've already used this once before in the podcast, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. Now that was said by Ian Malcolm, as played by Jeff Goldblum. Fantastic. And there have been things I've thought about in the past that fits this, but none of them more than this latest monstrosity. Researchers from the Salzburg University of Applied Sciences in Austria have created an add-on for a more immersive VR experience. It's called the AirRes mask. The scientific application of this is the measurement of respiration rate and volume of users. The immersiveness starts out at experiences like blowing out a virtual candle, playing an instrument with your own breath and control, and blowing up a balloon. Tech like this could also make the user hold their breath for better aim in a game. Where it gets a little creepy is the ability to add increasing resistance to the user's ability to breathe.
Why
Now,
in the living fuck would they do that?
Is this for like therapy? Lung therapy?
Nope.
Make you drown.
Here.
You're in your favorite space show, that game that you guys played, and you forgot to put your suit on before you left.
It would be immersive.
Yeah.
Colton literally died tonight.
Now, obviously, you can pull the mask off of your face, but still,
somebody's going to forget.
Yep, somebody's going to forget, or
your lack of freaking oxygen to your brain is going to fucking cause you to be delirious. And fuck. Damn, I'm hearing that Jeff Goldblum quote really hard in my head right now.
Right? So, the researchers claim that this feature could allow them to make aircraft simulations more real to life, making it harder to breathe as G-forces go up. Also, this would be a way to let firefighters train with the side effects of oxygen deprivation in a more controlled experience. Personally, this goes too far for my liking. I just imagine the kinds of horror games that could come out of taking advantage of this. Imagine a face hugger grabbing you and the mask clamping down on you for a good solid few seconds until you respawn.
Some game like fucking Phasmophobia where you're looking for ghosts and the ghost fucking chokes your ass. No.
Right?
No.
Now, let's take this to its logical escalation.
We should just attach tasers to ourselves.
Are we Rule 34ing this shit, Brandon?
No.
Oh.
Although,
obviously,
that would be an obvious, people who have the choking kink thing could experience VR porn in a whole new way.
Yeah.
But no, let's take this even darker.
Ooh.
Imagine what an experience like this could do to someone who is unable to remove the mask. Like, say, someone who's restrained. It's not waterboarding, Your Honor. There was never actually any risk. No thanks.
Yeah.
You've gone too far this time, science.
Yeah.
Just
there's
too far.
Potential benefits. Not good enough.
Nope. God, just imagine when we get, the bodysuits that, can restrict your movements based on how heavy something is. Now you've got this thing on your face that is restricting your breathing, based on how hard stuff is.
Going back to sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but going back to the learning about development and how the human mind works, are we trying to induce trauma into people? Deep-seated trauma experiences? It sounds like it.
You don't need to make horror. You don't want your horror entertainment to give you PTSD.
No. Well, I mean, that's the thing. They've already said that with current VR technology, that people have started having VR related PTSD from either military training, some of the new boot camp stuff. Actually, I don't think it's boot camp. I think it's ATEC school. But they're starting to use that for simulated battles, for stuff like that. And the graphics and everything are real enough that people are having problems coping with it. And it's there's a certain there's a certain level of realism that, yes, is great to hit. But if all we're doing is also adding these emotional scars on what should be a escape from reality, an escape from our problems,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
I
I don't know,
don't.
Ready Player One going on too.
But even
Yeah.
Ready Player One
Well-
didn't take it that far. Like they had the pressure suit, so there was some like real feelings, but I don't think they, at least in the first one, they didn't go as far as like, hey, I can't fucking breathe because I'm being choked
Yeah.
underwater by this guy. Like,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
yeah.
Now,
hmm
now the second one, they do talk about taking basically brain captures of people who are. Have you read the second one?
Not yet.
No. Oh, okay.
Go darker.
I won't give it all away, but basically you can relive people's memories, but they have to have had the recording device. Have either of you ever watched God, what is it? Strange?
Stranger Things.
No. It's like Strange Love or no. I'll get I'll get what it is, but basically this movie talks about basically being able to record your memories and then replay them, and you feel whatever that person was feeling, you feel like that person. So if you wanted to know what it was like to be an Olympic medal swimmer and like what that's like, or a paraglider, or
I've seen this. Yeah. And then they want to they film people dying, so you know what it feels like to die.
That's the thing, because humans are weirdly morbid when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I would hope the scientists and the programmers that are making this know how it's going to be used. Like, the training, I'm okay. I like that idea, like training the firefighters, like training the fighter pilots in that type of situation. That makes perfect sense. But in any other situation, it doesn't. I don't care about blowing out a candle. I don't care about like.
At least in those other situations,
why couldn't you use a microphone? Why couldn't you use a microphone?
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
Same fucking
in those
thing.
other situations, they've already gone through a lot of muscle memory training before they get to that.
Yes.
Before they would even get to that simulation.
And the other thing is
their head for it too.
Yeah,
it's like even scuba diving. When you learn how to scuba dive, and they take away they take it away, and then you got to reach for your secondary.
Right, and all of those situations are in a proctored instructor setting.
Yeah, with highly trained individuals.
Someone who is able to go, hey, you're being a dumbass and forgetting that you can just reach up and rip this thing off your mouth. Here, let me do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I don't like it. That gives me a bad feeling.
Nope. Nope. Yeah.
And I'm pretty open.
And
to
I mean,
this
it
kind of
looks... It kind of looks a little bit like a horror thing. There's like... So, they basically took a 3M painter's mask. The rubber one that's then's got the orange... Or the, pink foamy things on the side that you breathe through when you're painting or whatever. Particulate mask. Pulled those off. One side has this kind of thing that comes out that looks almost like a Philips Hue light, but it's got like a slit opening that I guess that is what kind of like rotates around and
to restrict.
Then you've got like the actual measurement apparatus on the other side. And it's just, it looks weird.
See it malfunction.
Looks wrong.
If it's programmed incorrectly, if they're programmed into games, like.
Well, if you were playing that game and you wanted to be stubborn, you didn't want your character to die, so you're playing it to the end, thinking that you're going to
be obsessed, and then
like you pass out. Now it's too late.
You pass out and you're fucking dead because you're probably not that healthy in the first place. You're playing games. I'm just saying.
and I wouldn't want to rely on some failsafe saying it's going to open after so long. I mean, come on. How many bugs do we have in computers all the time?
Look at the
bad news.
Another little side rant. Look at the giant 0-day vulnerability in all Windows machines now that Microsoft can't even patch out yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yay.
There's no reason
with
for it
actual
to
threats found in the wild with this exploit.
Mm.
Anyway,
nah.
no, I don't. It's the same reason I would never get any sort of cranial implant or anything unless it's like, hey, I have lost vision in one eye, but I can get a little chip and now I've got, full binocular vision. Like, unless I have lost something, nope. Because, like, there's already a problem with, like, current, or 2 or 3 generations ago, pacemakers were technically totally unencrypted. Somebody could totally use an NFC phone with malicious payload and just come up and tap you on the chest and boom, you're dead.
Just like people hacking into cars.
Yeah. The Bluetooth vulnerabilities. People are stealing Teslas because, it's just Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
Any sort I there's zero value in this. Like,
no.
But we're gonna see it. This'll happen.
I'm sure
It's probably will come with like the smelling thing, which I'm actually interested in the smelling stuff.
Yes,
that's just cool.
Yeah, they should work more on the erotic stuff.
Well, that's why this is gonna get pushed through and become a thing, because there's enough people with a choke kink.
Yeah.
They're
gonna be like, yes,
but you gotta be safe if you're gonna do that. You're by yourself. No. That's
don't trust the random video that you're clicking on to actually let you breathe enough,
because it's a fucking video or a goddamn. Come on, people, be safe. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, just be safe.
Yep. I'm not going to yuck somebody else's yum, but at the same time, use this head with the brain inside to make good choices and decisions.
Yeah.
And with that, gentlemen, I think it'll be a little bit of a short episode, but
that's
the title.
I think we've hit the darkest timeline, and
but we didn't lose. Hopefully, we didn't lose anybody.
Yeah.
No. So if we don't. Sometimes short is good. Short to the point.
Yeah. Well, Colton, where can we find you?
The name is Colton Roper. You can find me everywhere on the socials as Seeker4761. I'm also a pretty consistent streamer on Twitch at twitch.tv/Seeker4761, where occasionally I actually stream some random games with this gentleman to my left, at least on the screen, my actual right. Or to my northeast. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. But join us there for Way Out Wednesdays or Thursdays or whatever fucking day we decide. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's all about fun. What about you, Tim? Where can the world find you?
Instagram, YouTube, R-Tide Journey, and believe it or not, I've actually gone onto TikTok. And I'm not quite sure it's for me, but it's the weirdest thing because I got over 1,000 followers already. I think it's all middle-aged Thai women. It's really weird. It's really weird. So it's very uncomfortable because I am married. So I don't know how my wife's going to think about this. Yeah. Okay. So I keep on getting, are you single? Are you single? I keep on getting questions like that. So, so I don't know if I'm going to continue with that or not, but I'm there as well.
All you got to do is put a picture of you and your wife as your profile picture. That'll probably cut it in half.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
And then in your bio,
happily married, stop fucking asking.
Happily married, not interested in that. Hope you're here for
not yucking your yum
for the videos,
but not into that.
There you go. So, Brandon, where are you? Wherefore art thou?
I am here for now. I am Brandon Vader, also known as Captain Dracanis, where you can find me on thetechpirate.net. I am working on articles. I was actually poked by a couple of Redditor users because I posted in there that I was going to do a performance review of the framework, and still haven't, because every time I go to do performance and benchmarking, I get sidetracked by actually playing the
Brandon,
game.
I made a Tech Pirate video. You can make an article, my friend. I forgot about that.
I know. You did freaking awesome on that video, by the way.
VMware or VM.
Yeah, you got to do it. It sounds like people. You got to do it. It sounds like people are interested in that. So
more content for the Tech Pirate.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get some
Well,
traffic.
soon I will actually have potentially a little more time to do that. So
Stay tuned for the
If-
outro.
yeah. Yeah. Yes. Outro.
Mhm.
Anyway, you can also find me on twitch.tv as Captain Dracanis, where I randomly stream with that guy over there. I actually just joined his Final Fantasy guild and had to disrobe in their bathhouse, which was the weirdest thing.
Hey, you didn't have to put on a fucking mask. Relax. It's part of the fun. Part of the fun. You had fun.
I don't know. I don't know.
That
But-
fucking game.
I think that'll do it for tonight. So let me get to my script. Thanks for joining us on this week of... It's been a while. Thanks for joining us on this episode of This Week I'm Learning. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts, as well as on YouTube at This Week I'm Learning. For you social media peeps out there, you can find us on Twitter at ThisTWIL. If you'd like to contact us, you can of course send an email to twil@thetechpriot.net. And we will see you all in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Well, we're taking a 3-week break, so math that out.
Season 4. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, as a little pre-start off to the show, you guys already know, but our listeners and our viewers don't. I got the job. My first day as a security analyst for the IT SecOps team is this coming Monday. So, at this point, as of time of recording, I have 4 days left in the office as a PC tech, and then I am work from home security analyst, and I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's great.
I just can't hide it.
Maybe you could start. Maybe you come to Thailand and work from Thailand.
You know, Cody brought that up too, and it's like I have friends, I have family, I have a
Right.
child in high school, or not high school yet. God, aging myself prematurely with that. 8th grade next year, and no,
Yeah.
we're in the valley. That's actually why. So once I finally got offered the job, my new boss actually said, "Yeah, by the way, we wanted to hire you last year, but you wouldn't move to corporate. You wouldn't move, so we had to go with this other person. And now that other person isn't even here, so maybe we should have just went with you and worked around your remote needs."
Should have picked the best, motherfucker.
But
Yeah,
Kind of style. Anyways,
self-esteem
So-
is booming.
definitely,
Good stuff.
definitely. We'll call this the outro here. It's a perfect amount.